what mods have I got coming for this car. TRAX was awesome. Thank you to Luke and Mark and to all the guys on stand for having us there with you. Gravity was just a mess. And I am having another issue with this car. What's going on, guys? Now, disclaimer before we start, I'm afraid we're not going to be doing anything too exciting in this video. I haven't got any new mods or any fixes to really show you, but there are a few things I've been doing in the background, some events I've been to, some stuff I've been doing to the car, and also some things that have happened and some issues I'm having as well. And I've been doing weekly videos for quite a while now, and I'd really like to just keep that momentum going. Plus, I know a lot of you are actually really invested in the channel. I get a lot of messages on Instagram, I get people contacting me through Facebook, and even people speaking to me at shows and events I go to, and people just want to ask questions about the car. They want to know what's going on, they want to know what's coming up, what mods are coming, and all sorts of things like that. So really, this video is going to be for you guys. Speaking of shows, one of the things I've been really busy doing over the last couple of weeks is getting the car ready for some shows. I've actually been to 2 shows in the last 3 weeks. This last Sunday, we were at TRAX at Silverstone, so we got to get the old show plates out again because we were on stand with the ST150 enthusiasts. And I'd like to say a huge thank you to Luke and Mark for organising everything, and to all the guys on stand for having us there with you. We had a great day. It was great to meet you, see some of your cars. I really wanted to film while we were there, but the weather was okay, but it was really windy, and I'm still just filming everything on my phone, so there was no chance I was going to get any decent audio. I wanted to do a couple of walk arounds of people's cars, like speak to some of the guys there and you know, get them to speak about their cars, ask them what mods are on them, what sort of power they're running, whether or not they were going to go on track that day and things like that. I just thought that'd be a really cool little video to showcase some other STs, but sadly I didn't manage to do that. And also I'm still not sure I'm quite confident enough to be filming, holding a camera like I am now in front of loads of people at a show. But nevertheless, we went to TRAX on Sunday and we had a blast. So thank you to everyone that made that happen. I can't wait to come again next year. And just quickly, for next year, the ST150 enthusiasts want to get a much bigger stand. I think we only had space for 7 or 8 cars this year, and we really like to get those numbers up in future. So if you've got an ST150, go and join the Facebook page. It's ST150 enthusiasts. Go follow the page so you can keep up to date with events. I know they're running polls and stuff on there at the minute to ask people, you know, why aren't you coming to these sorts of things? And a lot of it is because people are saying, well, we don't really know what's happening. So make sure you get on the Facebook page, and make sure when there's notifications going up about events that you get in touch and get yourself on a stand with us, because it'd be great to have many more of these cars next time around. I'll be posting some photos on my Instagram from TRAX over the next few days, and also from Gravity, which is the other show I went to a couple of weeks ago now. Gravity, if I'm honest, was a disappointment. We had to queue for 2.5 hours just on the roads outside just to get in, and then once we got in and parked up, we had to queue for like another half an hour to actually walk into the event. So Gravity was just a mess, but TRAX was awesome. So if you're thinking about which one to go to next year, come to TRAX and come and see the car. Now, one of the things a lot of people are asking me at TRAX is what mods have I got coming for this car? Now, you're probably watching this video thinking, oh, he's out of mods, he's out of ideas, he's out of content. That's simply not the case. In fact, I've got styling mods, I've got handling mods, I've got braking mods, and I've got engine/performance mods all in the house waiting to go on the car. Oh, by the way, I'm really sorry about the noise. My neighbours just decided to start cutting down a hedge with a massive tractor next door, so sorry. But one of the big reasons why I haven't actually got around to doing some of those things just yet is because I can't afford for the car to get stuck off the road at the moment, because some of them are things I've just not done before, and I'm worried it'll take me more than a day or an afternoon or an evening after work or whatever to actually get done, because now this is literally the only car that I have access to. My mum and dad used to live next door, and I could borrow their second car if this car ended up off the road. But as you guys know, this has become my daily. We haven't got the Mark 7 working yet, the Honda's dead, so this is the only car I've got access to. And if I put this thing up in the air and something either breaks or something goes wrong, like I don't have a part or I don't have a tool or anything like that, like I'm gonna be stuck for getting to work and everything else. So that's kind of the reason why I've been a bit slow with mods over the last few weeks. But you know, I'm gonna hopefully find a solution to that pretty damn soon. I really want to see if I can get the Mark 7 on the road. It is going to be quite a lot of work to get that done, but hopefully I will have access to a garage before too long. My parents' new place has a garage. It's not actually too far away from here, so hopefully once they've all moved in, I'll have access to a garage. So then at least if I do take my car over there, maybe I could still borrow their other car if it ends up getting stuck there, but I'll have a nice place inside, or I can work in the evenings when it starts to get a bit darker and a bit colder outside. So hopefully that's coming, but I can't guarantee when that'll be. And as well as that, getting the car prepped for the shows and actually going to the shows has taken up a lot of my free time at the moment as well, because the shows are not around here. Like, I live in the middle of nowhere in Wales, and there's nothing going on around me, so I have to travel quite a way to get to these shows, so it's kind of a whole weekend kind of thing for me. And speaking of getting the car ready for the show, we actually had to drive this thing for about 2.5 hours to get to where I was going to TRAX on the weekend. And by the time I got there, the car was filthy, so it was pointless me washing this thing before I went. And I stayed with my friend Ash, and sadly he doesn't have anywhere to wash the cars at his place, so we had to find another solution. We weren't going to take this thing through the scratch and shine, but what we did manage to do was take this to the local jet wash, and I want to say a massive thank you. They're probably not going to watch this video. In fact, they're definitely not going to watch this video, but still, thank you very much to Budgeon's Shell Garage in Southam for letting us use your garage forecourt to clean and dry and wax our cars ready for TRAX. Now, if you're wondering what the hell I'm on about, I'm guessing you've heard of the fuel crisis that's going on at the minute. Well, they had no fuel, so their forecourt was closed, but the actual petrol station, garage, shop kind of thing was open, and the jet wash was open. So we went down to the jet wash, took a couple of buckets, scrubbed the cars down, rinsed them off, and then we actually parked them underneath the forecourt roof to dry them and wax them so that we had nice clean cars ready for TRAX at Silverstone. So thank you very much to you guys for letting us do that. It was the most ghetto car wash ever, but we got it done. And I think we did a pretty damn good job too. In fact, I'm finding the wrap quite easy to keep on top of in terms of cleaning. I am making sure I keep up to date with a layer of sealant on this thing, so I'm guessing that's helping to keep it clean. But nevertheless, I think I'm gonna go for a ceramic coating on this, because you can actually get ceramic coatings specifically for wrap. There's a couple of brands I've been looking at, and one in particular I think I'm gonna go for. I'm also thinking of getting a ceramic coating for the wheels, like a wheel specific one. So if that's something that you wanna see, then make sure you let me know in the comments, and we'll get onto that here shortly. Now, there was one thing that actually went wrong with the whole cleaning process, and I don't know if you've noticed it already, but there's a reason that in this last little clip I'm not actually showing you the top of the windscreen, because I think I made a little bit of a mistake. Did you spot it earlier in the video? Yeah, so my sun strip's gone. Well, most of it. This is what's left of it. Now, I think what's happened, I'm not 100% sure, but I think what's happened is that I used the glass cleaner on the windscreen. I know for a fact that I did overlap the edge of the sun strip slightly, and I think this must have been the area where I wiped over it. The same there. I mean, originally I thought maybe it was the wipers, because if you look at where those two almost like cutouts are, it does kind of look like that's where the wipers were, but I'm not entirely sure, because I mean, I've not had any problem with the wipers so far, but it does seem like after I've cleaned the windscreen with glass cleaner, and I know that I did just go over it ever so slightly and then it's lifted, I think that must be what's done it. So I set about removing the old sun strip, which is a lot easier than I expected, especially the way the vinyl kind of splintered as it come away from the windscreen. So I got this off, and then it was time to lay the new one. I cleaned down the windscreen with some soapy water and a microfiber towel, and then used a little bit more of the soapy water just to help me with the new sun strip going on, because it makes it easier to flatten it down and squeegee everything out. Now, one thing I did find is quite a bit harder to lay a sun strip on your own, but I did manage to get it done in the end without too much hassle. Next thing was trimming the damn thing, and now this is definitely the hardest bit for me. I just cannot cut straight unless I've got an actual edge to cut to, and when you're cutting around a windscreen, you don't want to get too close to the rubber, because you don't want to cut any of the rubber seals that hold the windscreen in. But nevertheless, I think this is one of the better jobs I've ever done. And that's the sun strip back on, and I think it's looking pretty good. I didn't do a bad job by myself, but while I'm at it, there's actually something else I want to do with the windscreen, and it's actually another sun strip. I'll explain. Now, back when I was at Fort Vet earlier this year, I saw something that inspired me. Nothing too crazy, but basically it's another sun strip, but instead of it going on the top, it goes on the bottom of the windscreen. Now, I actually saw this on Rich Fox's Focus RS, and it looked awesome. So I thought, let's give it a go and try it on my car. And that's the lower strip fitted. Now, I think it looks pretty good, but there are a couple of things that are bugging me about it. The first is that because of the curvature of the windscreen and everything, I've had to put it quite low down on the sides because it dips in so far at the bottom. So I think I would probably get something a bit thicker, or maybe one of those ones that actually curves at the edges so it comes up a little bit more. Now, the other thing, you can probably see it straight away, is that now my show plate that I had on display in the window, you just can't see it anymore. So I might make some sort of mount or stand for that so it sits a bit higher up. I mean, I may end up not keeping this thing if the windscreen wipers are a problem with it, or if I decide I just actually don't like it. But overall, I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, it's now the following day, and as you can see, the top sun strip came off again. I drove the car last night and it just came flying off. So I'm going to have to get a new one of those. Now, I said at the start of the video that I was having some issues with this car. Now, I guess the sun strip isn't really an issue, but nevertheless, it is annoying, and I am having another issue with this car. I'm actually having to top up the oil in this car around every other week, and by a considerable amount as well. I'd say after around 2 tanks of fuel, the oil level is then below the minimum, which is quite a lot, and it's quite concerning. So I should probably check to see if we've got any leaks. So let's get the car up in the air. So I'm just going to dive under here with a brush and some degreaser and have a look around, see what I can find, see if I can see anything obvious that might be leaking, give it a clean and see if I can actually pinpoint the exact source of a leak if there is one. And fingers crossed we can get to the bottom of it. I haven't noticed any funny smoke like blue smoke or anything like that coming out of this car, so I'm hoping it's not going to be like piston rings or valve stem seals or anything like that. So let's have a jump under here and see what we can find. Okay, so the first thing jumping under here I've noticed is there's actually quite a bit of moisture around this drive shaft. Now really this is just a bracket that holds the drive shaft, but there is something which looks like and smells like oil around there. But like I say, that is literally just a bracket that holds the drive shaft. I was wondering if maybe it was coming from the gearbox, but gearbox side, those seals look good. But then if you look here at the bottom of the engine where the sump mounts on, there is a little bit of moisture here as well. So maybe that's something to look at. But then this side over here, by where we're getting all this moisture on the drive shaft bracket, you know, the sump here looks fine. So I'm not really sure on that one. Taking a quick look at the oil filter and the oil filter housing, everything looks okay there. And then up above that, I can't really see anything either. Now, if we come round to this side of the engine where all the belts and everything sit, there is quite a bit of moisture again around where the sump bolts on down here. And also I'm guessing there's some sort of cover on the side of the engine as well. So I'm wondering if maybe we've got a problem there. But again, it only really looks to be around the bottom here. And normally if it's just hanging around the bottom like that, oh, actually look at that. That is caked in stuff. What is that? That is, I'm pretty sure that's the crankshaft. And then that, I'm guessing, would be the crank position sensor. Now that is covered in stuff. I'm guessing it's some sort of oily mixture. There's some drops here, but like as you can see, that's clear. That is literally just water coming from above, and I know exactly where that's coming from because that's where all the water was. I think is what ruined my alternator. But yeah, this is the other side of that bracket that holds the drive shaft. So there's definitely something going on around here. But other than that, there's not really anything else I can see. So I'm just going to give these areas a quick clean, and then I'll keep an eye on them over the next few days and see if that moisture comes back, and hopefully we can pinpoint where it's actually coming from. Okay, so all I've really done, it's quite hard to film under there, so I wasn't going to film me doing that, but I've basically just sprayed down those bits where the moisture was and cleaned that off with a little brush and a microfiber towel, so everything's looking nice and dry. So I'm just going to start up the car, and then we're going to jump under there and see if we can see anything. Obviously, if anything's leaking, but it might not be straight away. It might take a couple of days for me to actually notice anything on there, but let's dive under and have a look anyway. Let's just dive under and see if there's anything that's clearly dripping, leaking, or anything like that. So I'm focusing mainly around this area because this is where all the moisture was. As you can see now, it's looking pretty clean. So I just want to see if anything starts dripping, anything's kind of weeping out of here where this gasket seals or anything like that. Okay, so I had the car running for about 5 minutes and there's just nothing, there's no leaks, nothing dripping or anything like that under there. So it doesn't look like we've got a really serious leak, but nevertheless, I'm going to keep an eye on it over the next few days and see if the moisture does return. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of this. Like I said, I don't seem to be getting any weird smoke coming out of the exhaust or anything like that, but if you have got any suggestions as to where that oil could be going, because I do seem to be losing quite a lot quite quickly, then please let me know in the comments or drop me a message on Instagram if you've got any suggestions. But for this video, it's time to end, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.